Hello everyone. In this video, we'll see how Docker container works and what is the life cycle of Docker container. We know that we have the registry which is called as hub.docker.com, which has all the public and private images. So this is the registry and we have the repository. If I run the command docker run alpine, so this is my image name out of which I wanted to create a container. This particular command docker run alpine, it is going to pull the image from the hub.docker.com if the image is not in the local cache. So this is my local cache or local repository which is there in my host operating system. This command is basically doing two actions. One is to create the container and to start the container. Creating the container doesn't mean it is going to start the container. So basically we have the operating system. So we have the hardware on top of which we have installed the operating system. We have not booted this operating system. It can be Windows 11, it can be Windows 2009 or 2012. We have the operating system, but we have not booted. Similar to that, we have created the container, but we have not started. This command, docker run, it is going to perform these two actions. It is going to create the container and also it is going to start the container. If the image is not available in the local cache, it is going to pull the image from the repository. So this is how this particular command is going to work, and container becomes the unit how we are going to distribute our applications in our infrastructure. Container is a standardized format both for our developers and operation team, wherein we agree for the standard image, standard container to be distributed in our organization. So this will be my standard applications as a container. Because this particular container is a portable, we will be able to move the container from one platform to another platform without any issues. In our previous video, we have already seen how to create the Docker file, and using the Docker file, how we will be able to build the image and also how we will be able to create the containers using the image what we have built. Let us understand what is the life cycle of the Docker containers. From the time we create the container and we remove the container or terminate the container, the Docker container has to undergo multiple stages. Let us understand what are the states which the container will undergo. We will create the container based on the image. Once the container is created, we will be able to start the container, and the start of the container will be called as running state. We will be able to pass the container using the command docker pause and container ID or name. We can pause the container. Pausing the container will suspend all the process which was running. We can also unpause the container. We have to use the container ID or name to unpause the container. If the container is not responding and if you wanted to restart the container, you will be able to restart the container using the command docker restart and with the container ID or name. You can also use the T flag to specify the time to wait to restart the container. Restarting the container is basically similar to restarting the operating system. If I wanted to stop the container, I can use the command docker stop and container ID or name to stop the container. Stopping the container is basically shutting down the operating system gracefully. Similar to that, you are stopping the container, suspending all the processes gracefully. We can also remove the container which is not in use. For example, if my application was running on v1.0 version and we have the application version changed to v1.1. Now this is my standard application which I am going to use in my environment. So I wanted to remove all the containers which was used for v1.0. So this I'll be able to remove using the command docker rm and the container. Whatever data you have stored inside the container, if you are going to use docker rm container, then all the data will be deleted. So you need to use this command very carefully. If I am stopping the container, if I am pausing the container or restarting the container, the data will be still available and there will be no issues to the data, whatever it was writing onto the read-write layer. In the upcoming videos, we will see how to persist the data using bind mount and volume. We will see all these commands one by one. Running the container. To place a container in the run state, use the run command. Restarting the container. This is to gracefully shut down all the processes and also to terminate the container's kernel. So this is container's kernel termination gracefully. A container is considered in a running state until either it is paused, stopped, or killed. So whenever we pause, stop, or killed, the application which was working, it will not work. It will go into unresponsive state. Pausing the container, this command suspends all the processes inside the container. To stop a container, we can use the stop command to shut down the container gracefully. Once we issue the stop command, the container's kernel will terminate if all the process has been shut down. If I don't want to stop the container gracefully, I can kill the container forcefully by terminating all the processes immediately. If I wanted to remove the container, once the container is stopped, I'll be able to remove the container. All the data which are stored in the container gets destroyed. If I want to list all the containers which are running, I can use the command docker ps. It is going to list all the containers which are running. If I use this particular command docker ps-a, this is going to list all the containers irrespective of their state. It can be stop state, it can be exit, it can be pause, and it can be running. So using this command, it is going to list the containers which are there in all these states. If you see the Docker documentation, there is a new command syntax which has been added, which will start with Docker container and the command. So this is the same command which is backward compatible. This is the old command and this is the new command. Both will give the same output. It is just that Docker wanted to standardize their command syntax using this container. Let us see some of the commands and its output. When we run the docker ps-a, this will be the output. We need to check this particular section about the state of the container. We can see the container is exited. If it is running, it is going to show running state. If it is paused, it is going to show as paused state. If I don't specify any name to the container while creation, Docker is going to provide the names automatically to the containers. These names are from Moby project. There are a list of names from where the names will be taken to the containers. How to run a container? To start a container, we need to use the command docker run along with the image name. In this example, this is the image name tmp-ubuntu. So this will be my image. If I want to pass the container, this will be my container name. And I have to use the docker pass to pass the container. To restart the container, this is the container name. To stop the container, I will use docker stop and the container name. If I want to remove the container, docker rm and the container name. So all these commands will be used against the container. To create and start the container, we will use the image name. In this video, we have seen how Docker container works and what is the life cycle of the Docker container. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the content, please subscribe and share the video. Thank you and take care.